let's dive right into this. You train hard. You eat clean. You're in the trenches, pushing yourself every single week. But you look in the mirror and somehow your physique still looks like you just signed up for the gym yesterday. It is incredibly frustrating, right? Today in this explainer, we are tackling exactly why all that sweat equity just isn't translating into visible results for you, and more importantly, how this concept called the small win strategy can finally shatter that muscle plateau.
Take a look at this number, 87%. Honestly, did you know that over 87% of people who train barely get any actual results? That is a staggering, overwhelming majority. And, well, a little tough love here, there is a really good chance you might be falling right into this exact trap. You're showing up, you're sweating, but you are stuck completely spinning your wheels because you're missing the true foundation of muscle growth. So here is our blueprint for today. First, we'll cover the gym ego trap, then execution over everything. After that, we'll break down the small win strategy, and finally, tracking the growth zone.
All right, Section 1, the gym ego trap. Why you are stuck on a plateau.
Let's uncover the real enemy here. Notice the stark contrast we have. On the left, we have what is basically theater lifting. This is when you just skip the tutorial and jump straight into hard mode, right? You're checking boxes, ego lifting with weights you literally can't control, and relying on absolute trash form just to put on a show. But the reality, as we see on the right, is that muscle doesn't grow just because you swiped your gym card. No way. It only grows when you force it to adapt through ultimate control, genuine purpose, and truly fighting for those reps.
Which brings us to Section 2, execution over everything, building the foundation.
Look, engineering your body is exactly like a massive construction project. Think about it logically for a second. You absolutely cannot build the heavy upper floors of a skyscraper if your foundation is made of sloppy reps and poor technique. Build on a weak foundation, and the whole thing eventually collapses. In the gym, that translates directly to hitting a frustrating plateau, or even worse, getting injured.
So we really need to talk about the 10-rep rule. Notice this comparison. Doing 10 perfect reps using a lighter weight will always build more muscle than 10 sloppy reps using a heavy weight that you're just lifting to impress some gym crush. Control has to come first. You gotta leave the ego at the door, because maximum growth literally only happens when you dictate the movement, not the momentum. I really want you to burn this mantra into your mind. If your form breaks, your gains break too. It's a simple equation. The very second you lose tension, the target muscle just stops working entirely. The load gets dumped onto your smaller stabilizer muscles or your joints, and your muscle building completely stops, right in the middle of your set.
Let's actually look at this in practice. First up, flaring your elbows out into a dangerous T-shape during push-ups instead of a nice tucked arrow shape. Second, sagging your hips in a plank. Listen, if your lower back arches, your abs have essentially just clocked out and gone to sleep. And third, looking up and straining your neck on deadlifts, which throws your entire spine completely out of alignment. These tiny errors, they are massive progress killers.
Okay, Section 3, the small win strategy. Smart, progressive overload.
Let's actually define what smart overload is. It's about making tiny, totally manageable increases in difficulty to force adaptation, but doing it without sacrificing your technique. See, everyone hears the phrase progressive overload, and they instantly think they need to slap 10 pounds on the bar every single week. But if you do that too fast, form goes right out the window. Smart overload replaces that ego lifting with calculated micro-progressions.
Here is how this actually builds into an actionable game plan using 3 specific levers. Number 1 is the 1 kilo rule. Instead of making massive weight jumps, literally just add 1 single kilo to the bar. Those small plates keep you stacking wins. Number 2, the extra rep. If you can't add weight, simply aim to squeeze out just 1 more clean rep than you did last week. And number 3, rest and tempo. Try dropping your rest time by 10 seconds or intentionally slowing down your rep tempo. You can radically force adaptation this way without adding a single gram of external weight.
Moving on to Section 4, tracking the growth zone, securing the results.
Because guys, this is where the magic actually happens. You absolutely must enter the growth zone. This zone is those final 2 to 3 grinding reps of a set where your muscles are quite literally fighting back. Let me be super clear about this. If you leave the gym feeling fresh and bouncy, your small wins are not adding up. You have to reach that uncomfortable intensity where your muscles are screaming to stop, but your perfect form stays totally locked in. That is the only place growth occurs. And how do you know you're actually doing it right? Well, you track it. Numbers just don't lie. Check out this logbook. Week 1, you hit 20 kilograms for 10 reps. Then week 2, we apply that 1 kilo rule, moving up to 21 kilograms for 10 reps. By week 3, we use the extra rep rule, hitting 21 kilograms for 11 reps. If you aren't tracking your lifts in an app or a notebook like this, you are literally just spinning in circles. Tracking these tiny weekly wins is exactly what guarantees continuous progress.
Because at the end of the day, consistency is what builds the armored titan. Training super hard for a single week? I mean, that's easy. Anyone can do that. But consistently stacking these tiny small wins, week after week, for years, that is the real secret. That is the only thing that separates a decent, average physique from a truly insane armored titan physique.
I want to leave you with a provocative thought to deeply reconsider before you hit your next workout. Ask yourself honestly right now, are you just checking boxes, or are you actually training? Take that challenge into the gym with you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will see you next time.